So let's talk about equities, also known as shares or stock. Shares represent an ownership stake in a company. When you buy shares in a listed company, you become a part owner of that company. Now, the common types of shares that we are talking about are known as ordinary shares or common stock. Ordinary shares represent equity ownership in a company and typically gives shareholders voting rights, the potential to receive dividends, and a residual claim on company assets in case of insolvency, which means that ordinary shareholders are paid last. That is, after debt holders and preferred shareholders have been paid. Now, when you buy shares in a listed company, you mostly benefit from share price appreciation and dividends. Share price appreciation represents the increase in share price over time, whereas dividends are payments made to shareholders out of common profits. Now that you know what shares are, let's take a look at a real world example. So I've put together the stock price tracker for all ZSE listed counters from January to June 2026. In column C, we have opening share prices as at 5 January 2026. In column D, we have closing share prices as at 30 June 2026. And I've also come up with a scenario just to track the capital gains or the share price appreciation in each of these 6 listed companies that I've picked from this list of counters. So let's say you had bought 1,000 shares in Tanganda, Delta Corporation, BAT, CBZ Holdings, Kafka, and AFDIS. So we want to know how much you'd have realized in capital gains in Tanganda before tax and before transaction fees. So here, if you had bought 1,000 shares in Tanganda as at the 5th of January 2026, the value of your shares in Tanganda would have been 610 ZiG. And on the 30th of June 2026, the value of your shares in Tanganda would have jumped to 3,600 ZiG, giving you 2,990 in capital gains. Of course, these are pre-tax capital gains and pre-transaction fees as well. Suppose you had decided to sell your stake in Tanganda. So if you had bought 1,000 shares in Delta Corporation, the value of your shares in Delta Corporation as at 5 January 2026 would have been 20,740 ZiG, and that would have jumped to 31,758.40 in fact on the 30th of June 2026, giving you 11,058 ZiG in capital gains. Of course, these are pre-tax and pre-transaction fees figures. If you had bought 1,000 shares in BAT, you'd have realized about 102,618.70 cents ZiG in capital gains. If you had bought 1,000 shares in CBZ Holdings, you'd have realized about 15,313.80 cents. If you had bought 1,000 shares in Kafka, you'd have realized 4,900. Of course, this is pre-tax and pre-transaction fees. And if you had bought 1,000 shares in AFDIS, you'd have realized about 5,010.50 cents. Of course, this is again pre-tax and pre-transaction fees. So here's a chart to just show you that BAT leads the way in terms of capital gains. I mean, if you had a portfolio like this, BAT would have made much of a difference in your portfolio. So would be looking at BAT, CBZ Holdings, and Delta. Of course, these would have moved the needle in your stock portfolio in terms of capital gains. So this is it. And if you have liked this video, please feel free to like, share this video with your peers, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you've got any other areas that you want me to cover, Please let me know in the comment section.